Welcome, and thank you so much for joining me. I am your host, Caryn Lutz, CEO, founder, spiritual and transformational mindset life coach at On The Go Talent. You could find me at Caryn Lutz, CarynLutz.com, or at onthegotalent.com. Thank you for being here and for opening up your heart and your mind to the Holy Spirit this morning. If you were just tuning in, I'm grateful that you're here and welcome. Today I'm going to be speaking about gifted and spiritual gifts and what that means. So welcome. I am so excited to dive in this morning to a little bit behind the scenes of being identified, I guess, as gifted. So I guess I will start with childhood, and I wanted to ask you, everybody has a gift. God has given spiritual gifts to every one of us. So I asked that question because the answer should be yes. And I'm here to help you recognize that and say yes to that. So when I said, are you gifted? Yes. And I don't mean specifically with IQ, but I mean with spiritual gifts. So my earliest recollection of a memory was when I was 2 years old. So, and I could still vividly see that image in my mind. And I remember asking my mom, how old was I when this happened? And what was this? So when I think back and recollect, to my earliest, it was me on a double-decker bus going towards Gettysburg, where the battlegrounds were in Pennsylvania. So all I remember is us standing there, looking out, and me looking behind the double-decker bus. And I remember a few years ago, I even confirmed this with my mom and said, hey, when was that? And she's like, you were only 2 years old. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. So, our memories are amazing. Our brains are amazing. So that's really, I think, where, my parents kind of knew, because my older sister is also identified as gifted as well. But it was early childhood, probably 4 or 5, when I was truly identified, as gifted. So I have to be honest with you. Growing up, I just thought it was energetic, cool. I thought everybody thought like me. And the more I realize this and identify with people, I'm really seeing that people aren't like this. So sometimes I have to hold myself back and be patient. And that's one of the most difficult things for me to do. And I want to bring this into perspective too. I just looked up something. So ENFP and genius. So that is, yes, that's so funny that there's a connection there, but it does make sense. So that's the connection there with one of the highest IQs. So just to let you know that. And I say this because it took me, like I said, a long time to understand people and understand, the psychology behind people. But I love it, and I am working on mastering some things in this. The most important part is that God gave everybody these gifts, okay? Some have the gifts greater than others, just like, singing and music. Some people were given the gift of voice, so they're able to project and sing better than other people. But we're all given these gifts and talents, and my purpose is to bring these out of you. Here's the thing. There's so many people that I'm it's like-minded, but trauma hits and you don't realize how much trauma affects your God-given abilities. Okay, this is key here. it really makes a difference in your potential and reaching your fullest potential. So you want to think back to childhood and think of how, your journey and your exploration back then. Think about that and think about what happened from childhood on up and what blocked those talents from becoming, fully blossomed at the time. And this is one of the other things too that I bring up too. I kind of felt different, but like I said, like when I was younger, like I was so naive that I just thought like everybody thought like me, and it's not the case at all. So growing up, middle school, I felt very, very different. And middle school was crazy. But then high school was awesome because I was able to explore more and more, and found friends who were like-minded like me. And that was like the best part too. It was so confined in middle school, and that age is just ridiculous. But, then got to college and really explored, as I mentioned in other episodes, there are so many like-minded sisters, as we like to call them, in the world of, Cedar Crest College. And that's where I really discovered, God-given talents. It was like one of the best moments of my life. And hi, if you were just joining me, thank you so much for being here. I'm just talking about your spiritual gifts, and we all are gifted from God in different ways. Just some are more gifted than others when it comes to prophecy or wisdom or creative and performing arts. So my purpose is to bring this to you in a creative and unique way, so that you're comfortable in sharing with me. And maybe I'm supposed to help you bring these spiritual gifts to the forefront and really help you awaken and really get you to the next place and where you're supposed to be. So my full-on spiritual awakening really happened like full-blown, like God stopped me in my tracks literally at 32 and really showed me, because I think I was at the point where like I was getting blocked every which way, like career, not finding love, not finding, what I needed, and just really opening my eyes to show me exactly what was going on. So if you felt like that, if you felt thrown up against the wall, and really sat back and looked at what was going on in your life, this is a good chance that you were having like your spiritual awakening. And I'm so glad that I get to share this now with you all. And I am just glad that you're here with me this morning for me to explain this journey to you. And it's difficult too. So it's like identified, gifted, and then like this energetic ADHD on top of it all. So it makes for an interesting, dynamic in my brain. But I thank you all so much for being here. And do you feel like you have a spiritual calling per se to help others, like reach out to me. God, thank you so much for letting me describe part of my journey and my truth and my spiritual gifts to anyone who is watching this morning. I ask them that they open their hearts, they open their minds, and reach out and allow me and the Holy Spirit to help them discover their gifts, their truths, and their whys. I ask them to sit back and take a moment this morning to realize the goodness that they have in their lives. Dear God, we ask you to bless anyone who is tuned in this morning, and to bless them and to give them what they need, when they need it, and how they need it. With that being said, have a great day. God bless.